Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, professionals from all over the world, and welcome to the first Afghanistan Professional Speakers Association Virtual Convention 2020. The Professional Speakers Association Afghanistan is proud to have its opening with speaking as a central theme. Because it's a virtual event, all the speakers will give their speech from their home or studio. And in this convention, we will talk about the speaker's value on various topics, creativity in speaking, and how to make a living as a professional speaker. My name is Tom Lightning, and I'm a director of personal disruption and a global speaker online from his home studio. And I will be your host today. Afghanistan National Professional Speaker Association is a platform for exchanging knowledge and wisdom for motivating people in Afghanistan to work professionally. They are the connection between Afghanistan speakers, the connection point of Afghanistan speakers to the Global Speakers Federation, and the central connection point of Afghanistan speakers to the global market. The reason this convention is possible is because of one person, although that's what I think, because he has been my contact person for the last weeks to set this up. And that is Mr. Tariq Mohammadi. And Tariq is a special man. He loves to help people. And that is why he is the founder and the current president of the Afghanistan National Professional Speakers Association. Like I said, Tariq is special. He was teaching mathematics at the age of 16. He has helped more than 200 students at the age of 17 to prepare for the university exam. Tariq is also an author, a speaker on building trust, change, and self-leadership. And he talks about building trust in our organizations, the importance of job satisfaction, and why we should change to be happy. Tariq has many years of working experience as a member advisor for board members, CEOs, CFOs, and other good leadership experience. He's given more than 1,000 speeches as a professional speaker, and now online for the first Afghanistan Professional Speakers Convention. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tariq Mohammadi.
Hello, hi everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining. We all know why we are here. We are here to share our ideas and our information and move forward. We are here to share our experience and our wisdom to go to a brighter future. We are here to build a country, speaker by speaker. I strongly believe that each speaker is a prophet. A prophet of knowledge and wisdom that he has been collecting it, or she has been collecting it for many, many, many years. And want to bring that brightness to the people, to the listeners. I believe each speaker is a change maker that can take the society, that can take his surrounding at another level. So if we get together under one community, we can have a greater impact on our people, because the communication will be much more easier, because it will be much more easier to use each other's resources. It will be much more easier to understand each other. We hope that if you are a speaker and want to encourage more people to join us, we all have been always a good listener. We want to listen to you. We know that we have so many good speakers in Afghanistan. We have so many great speakers, public speakers and professional speakers inside the country. And so many untold stories that everyone wants to hear it. It has been 2 years ago that I called my friends in Afghanistan and I asked them, do we have a professional speakers association in Afghanistan? And they said, no. We have it now. It is my honor to be a part of it. It is our honor now that we can be a stage for our speakers. That we can be a bridge for our speakers between each other inside the country and outside of the country. We have so many good other speakers association around the world. For example, Sweden. And we have so many good speakers around the world that they want to share their wisdom and their knowledge with the Afghanistan listeners, to motivate them, to encourage them that they can have a great and better impact on the Afghanistan's people. We have a very good board member that they have been always a support for the speakers inside Afghanistan. And they want to be more support for this community. We have a very, very good managers inside our team that they want to serve you if you want to come and join us and talk. Afghanistan Professional Speakers Association is a community for people who want to share their ideas and knowledge and take the society to another level, to a brighter future, to a better way of living. I strongly believe that if we get together, we can have much more impact on our people. And also, if we provide some resources for the people that they put their time and their energy to come and give a speech, that will be also good. So our speakers focus full time on what their message is and want to communicate those messages with the people. Afghanistan speakers community are proud to have our speakers, our guest speakers from around the world. You will have a chance to listen to them after my speech. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tariq. That was brilliant. And what a nice opening that was. The next speaker, I know him personally very well. He's also from the Netherlands. He's Mr. Ter Wal. And Paul is balancing specialist and health architect. He carefully seeks the balance between man and machine, between economy and economics, between organizations and organism, because one cannot function without the other. Paul is a strategic advisor and conceptual architect. Paul Ter Wal helps employees and teams to find their core values, their non-negotiables. Only if you know them, you can make the right choice for the right job for you. The right choice will give you engagement, more happiness, more satisfaction, more health, and more income. Wow! In that way, you will genuinely change your career and personal development. You will give meaning to the new world, sustainable employability, with a smile every day. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great friend of mine. Here's Mr. Ter Wal.
Hello, my name is Ter Wal. I am the immediate past president of the Global Speakers Federation. In the last couple of years, I connected monthly with Tariq and his team about the foundation of PSA Afghanistan. And so it's for me a great honor to speak at the opening convention of PSA Afghanistan. I hope you all enjoy being here together, and I want to share some information about the Global Speaker Federation. I'm happy to be your guest because it is a special time. The COVID-19 times is special for every speaker, including PSA Afghanistan. And we hope a lot of people will attend this convention and you can share your message with us about your association. The Global Speakers Federation is a federation of associations. We're not a bunch of international speakers. No, we are a group of associations worldwide. It started in the 1970s with NSA in the United States of America. Kevin Roberts started NSA and said, let's make the pie bigger. And that's what we're doing and what you are doing. So after NSA, Australia came, Canada came, New Zealand came, Southern Africa, United Kingdom and Ireland, Singapore, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Malaysia, the Netherlands, France, Belgium, Namibia, the Russian Federation, Sweden, Philippines, India, and one of you will be next. PSA Afghanistan, PSA Spain, PSA Mexico, PSA Israel, or the Virtual Speakers Association International. This is the list of the Speakers Association that want to become a member of our lovely federation. Some facts that can be important. Although through COVID times, the industry, well, is not that big anymore. A lot of events aren't happening, but before COVID-19, we were a $1 billion industry. Worldwide, a lot of speakers were traveling in their own country to other countries to speak on great or small stages. There are about 50,000 international and professional speakers. They're not all members of an association, but it is our reach that we can go to. And the most important part is that we have an impact on so many lives and households per year. And that was the reason that last year I wrote an article on the globalspeakersfederation.net website where I was speaking about the future in speaking. And I used the 4-way test of Rotary, and you see it here. And for me, it is very important. I was a Rotarian. I'm a Paul Harris Fellow, one of the highest designations of Rotary. And the 4-way test is in my heart. It has the 4 questions that you could ask yourself when you want to be on stage and want to speak. And it is it the truth that you're telling? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships around the world or in your country when you tell your story? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? So when you craft your story, when you want to be on stage, these 4 questions can help you to build a trustworthy situation. I love those questions, but it's not an obligation, but maybe you can use it. How can the Federation support PSA Afghanistan? Well, with best practices. And we did in the last couple of years. We supported Tariq and his team to create PSA Afghanistan with the best practices that we got from other associations. And in the future, you can go to those associations as well and ask their best practice or ask experts to support you. Of course, we have a lot of documents and we have them collected in the Global Speakers Library. You can find them there. Go to our CEO and Sherry and she will help you. And the most important part is connect internationally. We can help each other across borders by being online or physically present at a convention, and that will help. We see that a lot of associations invite international speakers to come to their conventions to learn, to celebrate, and to connect internationally. So I hope that we can meet somewhere soon. Every 2 years, the Global Speakers Federation will organize with one of the associations a Global Speaker Summit. In 2022, we hope that we can go to the United Kingdom and Ireland, to PSA UKI, and have their wonderful Global Speaker Summit. I want to show you a video that gives an impression of the plans.
We are made of a million welcomes. We are tradition and we are innovation. We are altogether easy. Easy to get to, easy to get around, and easy going too. We are one city, alive with ideas. We are Dublin. And we are waiting for you.
As you see, Dublin is waiting for us in 22, and let's hope we can all get there. Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you. I hope you will have a great convention, and I hope to meet soon, somewhere in the world. So for now, thank you very much. I say bye-bye and see you soon.
Thank you, Paul. That was very inspiring and always very good to know your core values. The next speaker is Mia Lilliburg. Mia is an advisor, a public speaker, and a certified professional facilitator, but could be best described as change catalyst. Over the past 18 years, she has helped dozens of organizations collaborate their leadership and communication to align with the stated goals. Her unique ability to convert complex problems into manageable explanations across language and cultural barriers has been invaluable to clients and audiences in 20 countries across 5 continents. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Mia Lilliburg.
I'm Mia Lilliburg, and I'm honored to be part of the first convention for PSA Afghanistan. I want to share with you some insights from when we started the association in Sweden, and also from a survey that I did with a lot of speakers all over the world. Here you can see a lot of speakers from Sweden who met over a weekend, 2014, to discuss whether we should have an association. And if you haven't had an association and you made quite a career before as a professional speaker, you really question, what's in it for me? And we did it. as well. But Frederick Haren, who is a Swedish speaker who is living in Singapore, he came to Sweden and told us about the benefits that he had received as being a professional speaker and being a member of the Speaker Association in Singapore. So he convinced us, and this was the starting date for our speaking association. And within our first year, we became the seventh largest association in the world. Maybe you have heard about the PI. Robert Cavett, who was one of the founders of the National Speaker Association in the US, he said that when we collaborate as speakers, we can get a greater pie. So the more we collaborate, the greater the pie, the more gigs there are. And we believe the same thing now in Sweden. I mean, before we started the association, we thought the same as some speaker bros who told me, like, Mia, don't do this because, I mean, you are ruining the speaking business because there's only so many gigs, there's only so much pie. And there will only be more speakers competing about the same gigs. But that is a shift in mindset that once you start an association and you really believe in the contribution and the giving, then you will see that you can thrive by building a greater pie. By the collaboration gives you a greater pie, and with a greater pie comes a more established profession as a speaker. I did a survey before I spoke at the Global Speaker Summit in New Zealand. I did a survey that I sent out to all the different national speaker associations in the world, where their members could answer this survey, because I was curious about what are the different benefits that the speakers do see that they get from their association. And it was astonishing. Several of them answered that, yes, I have gained so much value, over $50,000 from the collaboration within the association. And more than 50% who answered the survey had raised their fees. And many had given back to society, because this is all about having a mindset of giving back, giving before you get. Another speaker association convention that I spoke at was the PSA UK and Ireland 2017. And they had 3 streams. And I think that is such a good picture of the speaking business and what you could get out of an association. And it is really speak more, speak better, and speak stronger. Because, I mean, the competence development and the connections and the growth you can make is really within 3 different areas. It is within your business, which is the back end of your business, your systems, your processes, agreements, etc. Sales, marketing. And then we have the delivery, your platform skills, how you are delivering your services. But as important is your life. How do you find the balance? How do you find the harmony? And how do you become more resilient to really endure? Because it is quite a tough life as a speaker when you go traveling, or a lot of stress, different client needs. So these 3 areas really sum up what you can get from a speaking association when we're talking about the competence development and the growth. And especially now within in the times of Corona, COVID-19, the third one, my life, about how becoming more resilient even when gigs are disappearing. I think that has been a really good support from for all the speakers around the world who are member of an association, to really find the support within the associations and from the colleagues. So if you take a moment to just reflect on what are your key areas for development for your upgrade 2021? Is it within the growth of your business? Or is it developing your platform skills? Or is it about harmony and balance and connections? The answers to my survey: how many years had they been a member of the association? And as you can see, half of the members had been members of the association for more than 4 years. And that's quite understandable. I mean, if you gain thousands of dollars of benefit from being a member, it's worth staying there, isn't it? So 50% of the respondents who answered were members for less than 3 years, and 50% of the respondents have been more than 4 years, and you see many over 11 years. And the value of the collaboration that they had gained from being a member was, you can see here, that's plenty over 10,000. Actually, 50% of the respondents gained value over 10,000 US dollar. And then we're talking about a membership that it cost a couple of $100 US dollar per year. And people get so much value out of it, so it's worth staying. But how do they get this value? What makes up these sums? Well, this is how they said it was. Well, the financial benefits of collaboration was really to get referral. That was the most common one, which is when you get a client recommendation. Another one was raising my fee, and that is really that the more you work with your platform skills, the more you learn about the sales part of the process, the better you can raise your fee. And also that you get a better overview of your finances. So you could see how you could save costs and how you could reorganize things. Creating new revenue. This new way of delivering services with different platforms, online or physical. Saving money on the cost side by sharing suppliers or by getting other ways of cost-efficient ways of working. Developing new businesses, which could be in connection with others, but also finding new markets where you were not active before. So when I was in New Zealand, this is the Tongariro mountain, which looks very, very high and very hard to climb, and it is. And as you can see, it's quite wide at the bottom, and then it goes steeper and steeper. And I think this is quite a good metaphor for how you can leverage your membership. Because if we look at this, a lot of it is built on trust. And trust grows as interest on interest, which means that you need to give in more than the inflation. And the inflation is really the information overload that we're all living in. And how can you really stand out in this information overload? So trust grows as interest on interest. And the more you give, the more trusted you become. And that is how you conquer the mountain of value. So when we start as members of an association, we're all at the bottom, which means that we pay our dues, we pay the fee, and then we can start to consume. So you pay your fee and then you can start to get things. But in order to really get the big values, you need to start giving. One way to give is really to connect with your peers, both in physical events and virtual events, and really getting to know your peers. From that one, start to contribute. And how you can contribute? Once you're connected with others in similar fields, well, then you can do guest blogs, you can do articles, podcasts, panels, you can give advice, mentoring, supply about good suppliers, refer contacts. You can volunteer for association work like the board, other leadership roles, manage the events. You can share industry network for exposure, like articles, events, etc. So you can really start to contribute and give to your peers. You can share on social media, so you can help others getting exposure by sharing their posts on social media. You can arrange learning events for your peers, and you can also be watched when you speak or watch others speak and give feedback. So there's so many ways to contribute. And then we have the next step, which is that once you've connected with some peers and you've contributed, that is when you're building the trust. And once you have the trust, that is when you can start to co-create with each other. Different ways of co-creation with the peers is seminars, training, webinars, or doing co-created podcasts, write articles together, write a book, combine online trainings, or even come up with new brands, doing retreats, masterminds, programs together. Because, I mean, this is often where you get the good value. You get financial value out of it because you get new income. But in order to get here, you really need to start connect and to contribute so people can build trust in you. Because, I mean, just because you're a member of an association, it doesn't mean that I trust you. There's plenty of people in the Swedish association that I wouldn't recommend because they are not aligned with my brand, or I haven't seen them enough. But there's so many speakers, both in Sweden and all over the world, that I've connected with. I've seen them contributing, and I can therefore also trust them, and I would refer them because I know it wouldn't harm my brand. So this is all about starting to give so you can get the value out of it. And once you do this, and once you're up here and it's all built on the giving mindset, that is when you start to conquer this mountain of value. But maybe you're thinking, I don't have anything to share. You do. You can share your mistakes. You can share your mistake, your best practice, your different hacks, what suppliers you have, the experiences, and you can share them just by being curious about what others are needing, but also in your online forum questions, maybe on Facebook, but also when you're having the events online like you have now, or physical or hybrid events. But it is a big difference. It's not only giving. I'm talking a lot about the trust. And the trust building is really that if you give to get, or if you give to give. If you're only giving to get, people will sense that, and that's not building trust. You need to give, and not expect to have something back. Once you're up at the top and conquering this mountain of value, you're seen as a trustworthy contributor, and peers refer to you for opportunities because they see that they fit you, and it would benefit their brand as well, being the referrer. And they are now your ambassadors. So show gratitude for where you are and the ones around you, and be humble and continuously giving back. Be nice at the top. So this is how you can look at how you can leverage your membership, that you paid your fee, so you can be a consumer, but if you really want the big value, then start to connect and contribute. Because it's all about visibility, credibility, and profitability. You probably heard this from Ivan Meisner, the BNI. And that's all about it. You have to start being visible. Once you become visible, people can start to rely on you, feel that you're credible. And once we reach that state, that is when we can start to hire you. So you want to be remembered, then recognized, and then referred. So what I would like to give you to take home is really this. The more you give, the more you get. But also, what you give is not what you get. Don't make it a transaction that I give you a gig and then you give me. No, just give to give. And then you become trusted as a giver. And a giver is someone people want to give to. So don't make it a transaction. And the more you serve, the more you deserve. So I hope you get some inspiration to really contribute more to your association. And if you want to know more, because there's so much more in this survey that I did, just connect with me on LinkedIn. And remember, together we make each other better.
Thank you, Mia. That was very inspiring. The next speaker is also a great friend of mine, and that's Mr. Frederick Haren. Luckily, I know him personally. Frederick Haren is the creativity explorer. He's driven by his inner theme, humanity to the power of ideas. And he believes in humanity's potential and the power of human creativity. He's passionate about helping as many people as possible reach their full creative potential. Like I said, I met Frederick a couple of years ago in Singapore, where he invited me to speak at the APSS convention. Great convention. And as a professional speaker, you always want to learn. You always want your role model. And Frederick is the perfect role model in the speaking industry. He wrote a book, How to Become a Global Speaker. What do you want more? In the last 25 years, he has delivered more than 2,000 keynote speeches in 70 countries on 6 continents. It's unbelievable. He has inspired over 1 million people from the stage. He's the author of 10 books, including the ID book, that was included in the 100 best business books all time. And he's also, like I said, you have to have that, How to Become a Global Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure and honor for me to introduce to you Mr. Frederick Herryon.
Professional Speaker Association of Afghanistan. This is Frederick Haren sending a huge congratulations for creating this Professional Speaker Association in Afghanistan. It's 2.5 years ago, roughly, that I had contact with Tariq for the first time, and I'm so happy to see that this has come to fruition, even in these strange COVID times. I have been involved in setting up professional speaker associations in Bangladesh, in India, in Indonesia, in Sweden. I'm the past president of Professional Speakers Associations in Singapore, and I'm a member, proud member of 5 different speaker associations on 5 different continents. I am a huge believer in what a professional speaker association is about, both for becoming a global speaker, if that's what you want, but also to help elevate the local speaking communities all around the world. And it's so amazing that Afghanistan is able to be one of the first 20 countries in the world to have their own national speaker association. So a huge congratulations. Now I'm here to talk about, they asked me, can you speak about, Frederick, you are a professional speaker on creativity. Can you speak about speaking and creativity? So that's what I'm going to speak about. I want to start by giving you a view on how I look at the speaking world from my perspective to your perspective, and then at the end of the speech I'm going to give you a couple of examples of how I use creativity in order to further my professional speaking career. But first let me tell you a little bit about myself. So I have been a professional speaker since I was 27 years old and a full-time speaker for more than 20 years. Actually last month I celebrated 20 years as a full-time global keynote speaker. I've done more than 2,000 speeches and I've done them in more than 70 countries on 6 continents. And my speciality is that I go around and I speak in all kinds of countries. Just last year alone, I spoke in 24 different countries on, I think, 5 continents. Everything from Indonesia and Thailand to Germany or Sweden, and I even got to speak in North Korea. And I'm not going to speak to you necessarily as the global keynote speaker Frederick Haren, but I'm more as someone who has seen all aspects of the global speaking industry, both the local and the global perspective. I have actually restarted my speaking career from scratch 2 times. I was a very successful speaker in Sweden, and then I moved to China. I didn't know a single person, I didn't speak Chinese, and I restarted from scratch. And then in 2009, I also moved for the 3rd time, I moved to Singapore, again, with no contacts, nothing. So I have seen the big stages and the big global keynote world with first-class tickets and big audiences. But I've also seen the other side of it when you just start out, because I've started out from scratch 3 times. And when you have no bookings and you don't know if you're ever going to get one and you wonder why no one is calling you to give you a speech. Now, because you're just getting started, I want to start by I only have like less than 20 minutes. And I think that the key in these meetings that you are going to have, I've looked at a lot of speaker associations and I've seen when they are thriving. And when they are thriving is when the members of the community are sharing their knowledge and giving it away for free. And I don't have so much time, so I won't be able to share so much, but I've decided to give you 2 gifts. And I want to give you a little bit of a warning first. In the speaking community, you are going to meet some people who are trying to give you a little bit and then they're trying to charge. They're trying to sell their services to you. My suggestion is don't jump on that. There's so much free information out there, and there are so many speakers out there who just want to share their knowledge and help each other become better. That's what this community is all about. Peers helping each other become better. So I'm not trying to sell you anything, and I never will try to sell you anything. I am giving this away for free. First of all, because I know some of you might be interested in how to become a global keynote speaker, so I've written a book about it. It's called How to Become a Global Keynote Speaker. And if you send me an email, I'm going to send the book to you for free. Second of all, I believe that the most important thing that you can do if you want to become a better speaker, regardless of what level you are on and regardless where you want to go, the most important thing you can do is to focus on becoming better as a speaker. Not the business aspect, not the selling aspect, the delivery aspect of being a speaker. So I have created another thing. This is a 5-hour online course on how to deliver a great keynote speech. And it's totally free. It's on YouTube. You don't have to log in. You don't have to register. Just go to YouTube. I did a little hyperlink there. You go there and you can dig deep into on how to develop a great keynote speech. There's more than 100 different learning points on every aspect, from how to use humor to how to interact with the audience. So there you go, 5 hours to you for free. And send me an email and I'll send you the book. This is what this community is all about. People giving away advice, sharing experience, so everyone can become better as speakers, regardless where they are, what they speak on, and what kind of speaker they are. Now, let me share with you a little bit about the speaking community, the speaking world, from a global perspective, and maybe what it means for you in Afghanistan. And I'm going to start with the bad news. And the bad news is that traditionally, keynote speaking used to be something that was very male-dominated, very white, and very middle-aged and European or American. Actually, just before this speech, I Googled keynote speaker on YouTube, and 9 out of the 10 first pictures was a middle-aged white man speaking in front of a crowd, and the 10th picture was a white woman speaking in front of a crowd. And that is how it used to be. A keynote speaker tended to be a middle-aged white man going up on the stage and telling the rest of the world what they needed to know. And I am a middle-aged white man. So I know I have had this privilege because I've been speaking for more than 20 years, and for many, many of those years, it was an advantage not because of what I knew, but because of what I looked like. And I also have another huge advantage, and that is that I am Swedish. And Sweden has the best passport in the world, which means I can travel to almost all the countries. No one can travel to more countries than I can, even without having to apply for a visa. So for me, a middle-aged white man with a Swedish passport, of course, it's much easier for me to become a global keynote speaker than it is, for example, for a young woman from Afghanistan, especially when you have issues getting visas. So I'm aware of this, and that is the bad news. Now, here's the good news. Over the 20 years I've been studying the speaking industry, I've seen a huge shift in just the last few years, and that is to diversity. And this is, as maybe you know, Greta Thunberg, a 17-year-old girl who has millions of followers, and when she speaks, tens of thousands of people come to listen to her. And she's a 17-year-old girl with Asperger who have no experience and no work experience, and yet people listen to her because she has something to say. This idea that we listen to people based on what they look like or the color of their skin or what passport they have, that idea is now very fastly going away. For example, let's look at men and women. I looked at TED.com, which is arguably the largest site on the internet for where people go and choose speeches they want to listen to. So this is not people selecting speakers. These are people selecting speeches, what speech they want to listen to. Now, if you look at the 25 most watched speeches on TED.com, 11 out of 25 are from women. All the ones in pink are women, which means it's almost a 50-50 when it comes to what kind of speakers, what kind of speeches get a lot of views. It's 50-50 between men and women. And that is a huge shift in mindset. Unfortunately, almost all except one are white. And that means that that shift hasn't really happened yet. But that's the next shift, the shift that's going to happen. First from all men to men and women. And there's a huge shift to that. Just in the last months, I've lost 2 speaking gigs, not because I was not the speaker they wanted, or the speech that I delivered wasn't the speech they wanted. They didn't pick me because they chose to pick a woman instead. Now, the next shift is going to happen is that people don't want to listen to white people anymore. They want to listen to people from all over the world to see what they have to say. And to me, this is a great example. This is an auto driver, a tuk-tuk driver in India who pimped his ride and put newspapers and iPads and Wi-Fi and everything into his tuk-tuk. He became famous. He has 10,000 followers on his LinkedIn group or Facebook group in Chennai. And he started to speak. Now, this for me is he's a high school dropout. A high school dropout rickshaw driver is now a paid keynote speaker. And he's from India. And that to me proves, great example, that the world is now getting ready to listen from all kinds of stories, from all kinds of people, from all over the world. And the big advantage that with COVID is that now finally people are getting ready to really listen to speeches through the internet, which means you don't even need to travel. And all of this, I think, is great news for a speaker sitting in Afghanistan, because now you can get your message out there. So that's my first message to you. Now, for the second half of my speech, I want to talk about creativity. And I'm going to give you 2 examples. First, one example about creativity in books, and then one from creativity and speaking. Now, I wrote a book, it's called The Idea Book. It was included in the 100 best business books of all time. And for me, creativity is to take and combine the unexpected. So instead of writing a normal book, I wrote a book that is 50% book and 50% notebook. I combined book and notebook, and here we have a book and notebook. And when people see this, they go, okay, that wasn't very creative. But the reason I did it is this. The average business book sells about 3,000 copies, which is not very much. And the reason it's not so much is because a lot of people, a lot of companies don't buy that many books. The average company buys one management book per year per employee, which means it's very hard to become that one book that companies buy in bulk. But I didn't write a book. I wrote a book and a notebook, which means instead of selling the book as a management book, instead of selling the book on the budget for management books, I sell my book as a notebook. And the budget for notebooks, the budget for stationaries in a company is huge. They buy a lot. They buy a lot of notebooks. They buy a lot of stationery. So by doing a slight shift, by putting some white pages into the book, I sell tens of thousands of books. I've sold more than 200,000 copies of this book, self-published, because I go to the customer after they book me for a speech, and instead of saying, oh, by the way, would you like to buy my book for everyone in the audience? I say, because if I did, they would say no. Instead, I say, would you like to buy a notebook for your conference so everyone can take notes during the conference? And the client goes, that's a great idea. And they buy 500 copies of the book. I tell you this story to show you that creativity doesn't have to be that you do something strange or something totally out there. It can be a small change. In my case, put just some white pages into the book, and now you can sell it as a notebook and sell tens of thousands of copies. And finally, my last example about creativity and speaking. And it's the same thing here. The trick with creativity is to be different from everyone else, to be combined what you're doing in an unexpected way. So I want to share how I did that and how I recently did that. You see, I have been doing it wrong for 20 years. For 20 years, I thought that I would position myself as Fredrik Haren, the global conference speaker on creativity and change. And for almost 20 years, that is what I did, until I realized it was wrong. And the reason it was wrong is because there are thousands of creativity speakers. There are thousands of innovation speakers. There are thousands of global speakers. And I just became one in a long list of creativity speakers. And I didn't stand out. So instead I realized I shouldn't be a creativity speaker. And instead I rebranded myself as Fredrik Haren, the creativity explorer. Because that's what I do. Remember, I go all around the world. Just last year, 24 different countries. I interview people in the most unexpected of places. I went to Mongolia. I lived with the nomads. I interviewed them about creativity. I went to street artists in Rome. What can we learn about creativity from you? I even went to North Korea, and I studied and interviewed North Korean businessmen to understand what can we learn about human creativity from North Korea. And by doing this, I became the creativity explorer. To explore means to venture into unknown territory in order to learn more about it. I went to the slums of Mumbai and interviewed the children of sex workers because I want to understand what can they teach us about human creativity. And suddenly now we have a client and they're picking a speaker and they want a creativity speaker. And they have 3 to choose from. Speaker A, creativity speaker. Speaker B, creativity speaker. Speaker 3, creativity explorer. Of which one do you think they're going to pick? And they go, wow, creativity explorer, that sounds much more interesting. But by the way, is he an experienced speaker? Oh yes, he has delivered 2,000 speeches in 70 countries. He spoke in 24 countries last year. Okay, great. I have the credentials, and then they pick me. I stand out. Think about this. What can you do as a speaker to stand out, not to be a speaker, but to be a thought leader in the area that you speak on, the area you are passionate about? And when I started doing this, suddenly people started talking about me in a totally different way. I am not now introduced as Fredrik Haren, the global conference speaker. I am introduced as Fredrik Haren, the creativity explorer. People write on Twitter and on YouTube, I just saw Fredrik Haren, the creativity explorer. So, and it's much more interesting for people to follow. The number of people who sign up to my newsletter has skyrocketed because no one likes to follow a speaker, but people love to follow an explorer. And that is my message to you. So how can you stand out? Now, when you choose how to stand out, this is where it's so important for you as a speaker to choose and identify your inner theme. And I am passionate about this. I think you should spend most of your time making your speech better, but you should focus extra hard on the topic you speak on, why you speak on it, why did you pick this picture, why is this topic important to you? And an inner theme is a universal message, something that everyone needs to hear. Every human being needs to hear this message across the world. So it's a universal message, but it's only true to you, meaning you're the only person who can spread this message. My inner theme is humanity to the power of ideas. Humanity to the power of ideas. What does it mean? It means I believe in the potential of humanity and I believe in the power of human creativity. I believe that every human being, regardless where you live, if it's North Korea or India or Afghanistan or Norway or Iceland, every human being should be given the opportunities to discover his or her full creative potential and be encouraged to pick up the best ideas regardless where they might come from. And if everyone did that, the world would be a much better place. And that means that regardless if I'm speaking to the CEOs of the largest banks in the world, or to the industry leaders in India, or to speakers in Afghanistan, I always have the same message. We should be more creative. We should develop our creativity and we should learn from each other, because I believe in humanity to the power of ideas. And that means I will go and interview a taxi driver about creativity or a president about creativity. I am passionate about human creativity. And that is my topic. And I wake up in the morning and I say, what can I do to become wiser and more knowledgeable? How can I explore human creativity? And how can I help people discover their full creative potential? That is what I do. And then I get invited to speak. My challenge to you is to question, what is that inner theme inside of you? That message that every person needs to hear, but you are the only one who can spread that message. And then hone that craft on how to truly deliver that message and learn from all the speakers in all the different speaking associations around the world how you can become better at spreading that message. If that is Facebook ads, or if that is connecting with speaker bureaus, or if that is finding new clients, or whatever that might be. And then make sure you spread that message to as many people as you can. Being a speaker is a wonderful, wonderful job, to be able to spread your message to as many people as possible. And I hope in my short little time, have encouraged you to become as good as you can in this profession. And if you need more help, please just connect with me on Facebook or LinkedIn or send me an email. I will happily help you become even better. And once again, a huge congratulations to the Professional Speaker Association of Afghanistan and to all of you there. Now please go out and recruit more members and work together to become even better at speakers. Thank you.
Thank you, Fredrik. That was epic. The next one, Miss Rebecca Jones. Rebecca Jones, she is the chair of the Professional Speaking Association in the United Kingdom. Enterprise and mindset expert, creator of Stretchy Thinking, international and online trainer, speaker and author. As an enterprise and innovation mindset expert, she worked with entrepreneurs, business leaders, and large organizations to develop a more innovative and enterprising way to grow a stable future. If you say Rebecca Jones, you think of people-centered transformation. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please for Miss Rebecca Jones.
Hello, PSA Afghanistan, and thank you so much for having me here at this, your first ever event. How very, very exciting. My name is Rebecca Jones and I'm based here in the UK, where I'm actually the chair of the Professional Speaking Association for the UK and Ireland, and I also am a professional speaker. So let's get started. I've been asked to talk to you a little bit about stretchy thinking and how that you can improve your entrepreneurial mindset by using and embracing stretchy thinking. So let's take things one step at a time and let's think about why we'd need to be entrepreneurial to begin with. So the thing about being a professional speaker is that this bit that we're doing right now, the speaking bit, this is actually the easy bit. Scary, isn't it? To think that this is the easiest bit. Why do I say that? Well, I say that because actually a lot of professional speakers that I know, meet and work with as a coach and mentor for business owners tell me that the speaking bit comes to them relatively easy. It's about practice. It's about learning what you need to say. It's learning about how to package it all together. But the real complicated element of being a professional speaker, it's the bit behind you. The business element, you know, the bit that nobody sees. The bit about running the business in order to get the bookings, bring the money in, find the customers, package things up together so that people want to buy it. And actually, that element of running the business is one of the most important things you need to think about as a professional speaker. So, what do you need to do and how do you need to do it? Well, first of all, we need to start understanding that entrepreneurial people are not just focused on money. If they're focused on money and money alone, they usually fail. Because what we know about being enterprising and running a business is that you have to provide what people want to pay for. So it's no good saying that I want to do this and I want to do that, or I want to change something, or I want to provide something if nobody wants to pay for it. What you need to start doing is understanding that yes, you have something that you want to share, you want to tell people about, but unless they need it and want it, they're not going to pay for it. They might be willing to hear it for free, but long term, that's just not sustainable. So let's think about what it is that you do here on the stage a minute. What do you speak about? What do you tell people? What do you share? What knowledge have you got? And that's the crux of everything that I know about running a speaker business. It's actually about fully understanding what it is you know, what your expertise is in, and how you can package that expertise in order to help and support other people. So let's think about it for a minute. Most speakers that I know don't just earn their income from standing on a stage. What we have to think about is how else we can earn money when we're not stood here at the front of the room, be that on camera or in a live event. Think about it for a moment and consider what your skill set is, what your knowledge is, and what it is that you can help other people with, and then that's what you can start bringing together as your area of expertise. So let's take me for an example. My area of expertise as a researcher and as an academic is enterprise and entrepreneurial development, with a little bit of innovation thrown in. So what I can help people with is the entrepreneurial element of how they start a business, how they grow a business, how they develop a business. So I can either stand on the stage and share information like I'm doing today. I've written books and I've written training programs and courses that I've delivered in-house for companies. I've run training courses online, and of course I've written programs for other organisations for them to run on their own. So think about what your expertise is and think about how you're going to package that up, and then who is going to want to buy that, and that's your starting point for being more entrepreneurial in the way you think when you're a professional speaker. What do we mean by stretchy thinking though, and being enterprising with a stretchy thinking mindset? Well, let's take it one bit at a time. Let's think about mindset for a moment. Mindset is a very interesting thing, and many of you will have no doubt looked into it, and if not, go and have a look at some of the work by Dr. Carol Dweck over in the States on mindset. What she's talking about with mindset is about the fact that our mind, or our thoughts, become set in the way we think about something, based on some of our experiences, our habits, if you like, things that have occurred that make us believe or perceive something is going to happen in a certain way or is likely to have a certain outcome based on our previous experiences. And what we need to start thinking about is how we can shift that mindset in order to be more successful. So when I work with business owners that are struggling, what I find is that they're often stuck in a more negative mindset about their business. It's not working, people don't like it, I'm not making enough money, that type of thing. And what we need to start thinking about is removing those thought patterns and starting to think a little bit more positively about the business. And often in order to do that, the easiest way is for me to demonstrate to them that their business is successful if they only put their minds to it. By just starting to think a little bit differently, changing the way in which they do things, just if you like, stretching their thought patterns in order to be more successful. So to be stretchy in the way you think is to literally stretch past your current thoughts or your current pattern of thoughts about something and take on a different approach, a different thought pattern, if you like. When a professional speaker comes to me and says, this is the thing that I talk about, maybe, for example, I talk about marketing, and I've spoken to people about marketing and they love it, but nobody books me again. I think it's because I'm no good. Well, how do you know that for sure? Well, I don't get any more bookings. Okay, so go and ask people, why have they not booked you again? It could be that you've given them too much information and they're struggling with it, and they're thinking, well, it's not really what we wanted for our staff because it's just too complicated, so you just need to pull it back down a level. So go and speak to your customers is definitely one of my top tips. Go and ask them what they thought, how you delivered, and whether or not they'd book you again. And ask them what you could do to be even better at what you do. I know it's hard. I know getting that feedback isn't always easy, but actually, if you can get really good feedback from your customers, you're going to be able to start stretching the way you think about your business, changing your approach and considering different options because it's what people want. And let's go back to what I said at the beginning. Entrepreneurial people should not be led by just the money. What we need is entrepreneurial people who are led by delivering what people want, what customers need, because when you do that, you are more likely to be successful. So moving forward as an entrepreneur, one of the things you also need to consider is the fact that, well, don't tell anybody this, but at the beginning, you don't know everything. You definitely don't know everything about running a business. I've been running a business for over 30 years and again, don't tell anyone, but I don't know everything about running a business. The reality is, being a business owner is a learning journey. It's something that you just continuously have to develop and grow and learn into. Being a business owner is just not like anything else you'll have ever done before. Every day, something will crop up where you think, I don't really know. I have no idea how to do this. And so one of the things you're going to have to start doing as a business owner is accepting that this is about learning. And the more you embrace the fact that it's about learning and growing and moving forward, the happier and easier running a business will be. If if you're going to say to yourself right from the beginning, I need to know everything, you're never going to get there. So accept you don't know everything. Go and ask for advice, go and get support, speak to other people, but understand this, that part of running a business is learning as you go. So deliver well on the stage to customers, give them great customer service. The rest of it, just keep running and you'll get there, I promise. So you need to be stretchy in the way you think about running your business and understand you don't know everything yet. And that's okay. But you will have to go and find out the information. You will have to go and learn as you're going along. So how can we do that? Well, one of the best ways I know of learning for a business owner is to speak to other business owners, be that in what we call a mastermind group. So it's where you bring lots of other business owners together, where you share your experiences, you talk about the difficulties, the problems, and then you try and support and help and encourage each other with different ideas and solutions moving forward. So, for example, years ago when I first wanted to write a book, I just kept thinking, how am I ever going to write a book? I just don't have the time. I'm a busy mum. I've got 2 children. I run my own business. And to add to it all, I'm also dyslexic. How am I going to write a business book? And all of these things seemed to be barriers and blocks to me achieving what I wanted to achieve. And he said to me, you've got to push them out of the way. That's what you've got to do, Rebecca. And I thought about it for a moment and thought, I can't. Because these are real things. I can't get rid of my children. I can't change the fact that I'm dyslexic. I'm just going to have to find ways around it, solutions. I'm going to have to stretch around the problem and find a different way of achieving what I want to achieve. I had to work out what was important to me and what wasn't. I had to go back to that do it, dump it, do more of it. And I looked at things that were taking up time that I neither enjoyed nor added much value to my business and life. And I dumped them. So they were things like programs that I ran through the business that they weren't that exciting. I didn't really enjoy doing them anymore. So we got rid of those. I sat on quite a few committees and sort of organisations where I supported them and I didn't get paid. So we got rid of those. And all of a sudden I started finding more and more time in order to write the book. So now the barriers that I had in front of me of achieving the goal of writing the book, these were dropping. The barriers were dropping because actually I was just stretching my way around the problem by finding a different solution, by just either taking them away or asking somebody else to do them instead of me. All sorts of different options that I came up with. Some of the barriers were still there. Things like the fact that I'm dyslexic. I can't change that. So the writing for me wasn't really that easy. It was really difficult for me to think how I was going to plan and write the book, and how do I break it up into chapters, all of that type of stuff. And so I just started with all my ideas on bits of paper, popped them up on the wall. I then started just talking into the microphone and recording what I was thinking about the different things. And then we collected all those little recordings together. I got somebody to type them up for me. And all of a sudden we had the start of the book. You see, by being a little bit stretchy in the way I think, by saying instead of sitting in front of a keyboard and trying to write a book, how else can I do it? Well, I like things to be visual, so let's make it visual. I'm quite good at talking and thinking on the hoof, if you like, as I go. So why don't I do that and record it and get somebody to type it up, somebody who can spell. Sometimes it's not about always pushing all the barriers away, but stretching around the barriers and finding another way to achieving what it is you want to achieve. I really hope that I've helped you this morning with some ideas and thoughts on how you can run your business in a little bit more of a stretchy way. Before I finish, let's just review some of the things that I've shared with you on this session. So remember, in order to run a successful business, we need to make sure we have an entrepreneurial mindset. What we need is to be thinking about how we can provide the best solution for our customers. What do they want and what do they need? We need to start being more stretchy in the way we think when we're talking and working with customers. What else else can I do? How else can I help these people? Instead of just thinking, this is the solution, this is what I do, think about what do they want? What do they need? And how can you just amend and alter what you've been doing already in order to make sure it's exactly what your customers want and need? Let's be honest, up until earlier this year, most of my work was stood at the front of a room with other people, talking to them, sharing my knowledge and experience and ideas. But over the last 6 months, most of my work has been stood in front of a camera on my own. It's been an adjustment, but it's not impossible. This is what my customers now need because they won't travel and they don't want me to travel to them. So for now, this is the solution. We've just had to be a bit stretchy in the way we think and the way we work in order to help our business be successful and our customers, well, we just need to help them really, don't we, at the minute? Remember, running your business is the most important thing that you're going to do. It's not about what you say here on the stage. It's about how you keep your business going and how you price your business, your products, how you package your products, how we work with our customers, and those are the things you need to do. Stop thinking about being on your own and start thinking about how you can get some support around you, some other people around you to help you and encourage you and just give you other ideas. We call it diversity of thought in enterprise. It's about when we have other people helping us with different ideas and different thoughts. Because being a business owner is really lonely, and I can tell you from experience, sitting on your own when you've got a problem and barriers growing up in front of you and you can see what you're trying to achieve but you just can't get there, that's just no good. Sometimes all we need is to think a little bit stretchy and to talk to some other people about what they've been doing in their business in order to find a different solution, a different way of working, so that we can continue to do the job we do as professional speakers. I wish you all great success, great fun and great happiness in what you do as professional speakers, and good luck to PSA Afghanistan from the UK. Bye for now.
Thank you, Rebecca. That was wonderful. Now, another giant. What a lineup this is. Mr. Roger Harop. Mr. Roger Harop is a multi-award winning motivational business growth speaker. Over 30,000 CEOs in nearly 50 countries have seen transformational change by Roger Harop. He is the CEO expert. He has spent over 25 years in leading international businesses at the highest level, putting him in a unique position to deal with business challenges. His mix of vast experience, allied with accomplishing ability to make business simple, and his infectious enthusiasm and energy have inspired global audiences. Delegates on 4 continents regularly accredit his motivational, inspirational, thought-provoking, entertaining, and content-rich Staying in the Helicopter series of keynote speeches, seminars, and masterclasses. He is known for the dramatic business improvement and success, and for me it's an honor to introduce to you Mr. Roger Harop.
How wonderful to be speaking at the first ever PSA Afghanistan convention. Thank you for inviting me. I feel privileged to be a professional speaker. I feel privileged to be able to travel the world, and I feel privileged to be paid silly money to do it. You can do the same. So what do you need? What do you need in order to become a professional speaker, an international professional speaker? The first thing you need is a keynote, a carefully crafted, compelling 30-minute keynote. Now I know what you're thinking. I don't need a keynote. I'm a trainer. I don't want to do keynotes. I just do workshops. I just do masterclasses. I don't need a keynote. Yes, you do. I believe that people are much more likely to book a speaker if they've seen them speak. And therefore, I'm a massive believer in doing showcases, and that's the way I've developed my international business all over the world. So what do I mean by showcase? What I mean is speaking for no fee. That's not speaking for free. I always charge expenses. It's speaking for no fee to an audience that contains people who are likely to book you. So let me give you an example. I should explain firstly that I speak on business and I speak on business growth. So my audience needs to be people running business or involved in running business. So CEOs, boards of directors, managing directors, trustees of charities, from the very smallest one-man startup all the way through to the biggest corporate in the world. That's my audience. So when I'm doing a showcase, those are the people that I need to have in the audience, and you need to do a lot of research to find out where they are most likely to be. So when I set out to develop my international business, and I should explain, there's only me in my business, there's no staff. You have to torture yourself, don't you, when there's only you in your business. So what I agreed with myself was that I would focus on one geography at a time, and that I would visit for a week at a time, once a quarter. I'd do that for 2 years, and if at the end of 2 years I wasn't being successful, then I'd move on to somewhere else. So let me give you an example. When I decided to develop the Middle East market, I did my research and established that really Dubai was the place to start. And then I had to look at where would I find business leaders in Dubai. And at that time, and it's changed a little now, a lot of the business leaders were expatriates from all over the world. And what I found was that there were national business groups. So they were an obvious target for me. And I started contacting them. The British business group, the South African business group, the American, the Canadian, the German. A number of those said to me, "We don't have speakers." Now, I guess I could have taken that as a negative, but for me, that's a real positive. Because what that meant was, if I could persuade them to have me speak, I'd be unique. I would stand out and would perhaps stand a better chance of success of someone booking me. After I'd done 2 or 3 of those keynotes in Dubai, I remember I was back in London and I got a phone call. And this man said, "I'm the chief executive of this large business in Dubai. Are you free on these dates? We're interested in having you speak at our conference in Mauritius in 6 months' time." I said that I was, and then he said, "Well, the next thing we want to do is we're going to hold auditions in London next month, if you'd come along to that." I then had the most grueling audition I've ever had in my life. At the end of that, he said, "Okay, we'd now like to go ahead. The next thing we'd like to do is for us to fly you out to Dubai for 2 days, to immerse you in our company, and also to go through what you're going to speak about." And then some 4 months later, the conference was 3 days in Mauritius. To this day, that is the most lucrative booking I have ever had. And that came from a showcase. So, showcasing, that's the number one thing you need to do. You've got to have this 30-minute keynote. It's got to be carefully honed to be exactly 30 minutes to the nanosecond. It's got to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. It needs to have 1 or 2 stories. I need to know more about you at the end of your keynote than I knew about you at the beginning. It needs to take me through an emotional journey. And it needs to have 1, possibly 2 takeaways at the end, things that I can implement immediately. That's what you need to have. And the way to rehearse those and practice those and get them critiqued is within the Speaking Association. It goes on all the time, all around the world, to get that speech to where you want it to be. Okay, so What's the next thing you need after a keynote? Well, you need a speaker bag. This is my speaker bag. This goes everywhere in the world with me. It's saved me on many occasions, and it's made me money. So what sort of things do I have in here? I have a projector. That projector goes everywhere with me. I can run a masterclass for probably up to 50 people, depending upon the acoustics in the room, using that projector. I have, of course, my MacBook. And something else, vitally important, is a power lead, an extension lead, because if you have one of these, it means you only need one adapter for the local needs rather than 2 or 3. So how could my speaker's bag make me money? Well, again, let me give you an example. I was speaking at the PSA South Africa convention, the Speaking Association South Africa convention in Cape Town, and I wasn't expecting any work, but I did what I always do, and I would recommend you do, is if ever you're traveling anywhere in the world, add 1 or 2 days on the end, because you never know what might happen. So I did my speech at the convention, and afterwards a couple came up to me, a husband and wife, and they said, we own a school for chefs, and we'd love to have you come and speak. Is there any chance? And I said, well, yes, I'm free tomorrow. I'd be more than happy to. And they said, that would be great, but we don't have any equipment. We don't have a projector or anything. I said, that's not a problem. I have absolutely everything, all life support systems for a professional speaker. All I need is a blank wall, and we're in business. The next day, I ran a half-day masterclass for all the trainee chefs, and the fee they paid me more than covered the entire trip to South Africa. So, a speaker's bag. What else have we got in here? Yes, very small point. You need a large jumbo pen if you're going to write on flip charts. Almost every venue in the world I've ever been to, the pens are useless. They're either dead, dry, or too small. Take one with you everywhere. And something else you need are 2 remotes, not just one. This is my standard remote, but I was speaking in Dubai. In fact, it was to 800 people. It was all these various national associations that I mentioned earlier. It was in the Amani Privé, which is in the Burj Khalifa, the largest building in the world. And I was getting going, and then I noticed my slides were jumping about. They were going on, off, backwards, forwards. Something in that building was clearly on the same radio frequency as my remote. Not a problem. I then changed to my second remote, which uses a different technology entirely. So a little tip for you, have 2 remotes with different technologies. Okay, so we've got ourselves a keynote speech, and we've got ourselves a speaker's bag with all the life support systems for a speaker. What else do you need? Well, you need to be out there online. You need to have a website. Your website needs to have videos of you. It needs to be clearly addressing not only the people who might be in your audience, but the people who might book you. They may be different people. You've got to be addressing their needs and their wants and objectives from having you speak for them. I'll come back to this in a moment, but I think your website these days is orders of magnitude more important than it was just a matter of 1 or 2 years ago. What else do you need? You need to be on social networking. For me, the most important is LinkedIn. I've got 24,000 contacts on LinkedIn, and I get business directly through LinkedIn. I spoke last year at I was the keynote speaker at the Business Summit in Ghana, Africa. That came directly through a contact in LinkedIn, and the only communication I ever had with the person who booked me was through LinkedIn. you never know where inquiries and bookings are going to come from. Maybe your website, maybe LinkedIn, maybe it's YouTube. You must have a YouTube channel. You want to have as many videos out there as possible, ones that you make directly like this, ones that are of you speaking, but the more you can have on your YouTube channel, the better. Little story for you. I had a phone call one day from a lady in Trinidad in the West Indies. And she said, I work for a government organisation and we're going to be holding a business excellence conference. And I was looking at your website and I had a look at your profile online and we'd be interested in having you speak. So I said, that's great. And we had a good conversation. And then she said, well, would you please send me all your information? So I did. And as normal, I quoted a fee plus business class airfare and expenses. And a couple of days later, she rang me back and she said, oh, we've never paid that much for a speaker before. And I thought, I know what's coming. She's going to look for a price reduction. But no, that isn't what she said at all. She said to me, would you expect us to pick you up at the airport? And I said, well, yes, that would be normal. And she said, well, I'd rather not do that. We'd rather not do that. Would you mind re-quoting for an all-inclusive price? Flights, hotels, everything. I said, yeah, of course I will. So I then had a look and I found that for Trinidad, one could get a package, a holiday package, a 5-day package of hotels, flights, everything. And my wife and I could go together. I could go a couple of days early and I could then offer to do media, to do TV and radio. And we would have a couple of days at the end. So again, if some more work came, or indeed we wanted to go and tour the island. That's what happened. I was booked. And I have to share with you that at 3 a.m. one morning, my wife and I were on the beach and we watched leatherback turtles laying eggs in the beach, in the sand. An experience we'll never forget. And that all came from being a professional speaker and being able to speak in these exotic locations and sometimes less exotic locations around the world. What else do you need out there online? Well, there was some interesting research I saw recently from Microsoft saying that in an increasing number of market sectors, the client had made 85% of the decision before they first contacted the company. My opinion is that applies more to professional speakers than almost anyone else. They've done 85% of the work online, and you've got to enable that to happen. So what's the first thing you need? The first thing you need is to own your Google page. What do I mean by that? Well, in my case, I had some work done to establish exactly what someone looking for what I do would type into Google, what phrase that would be. And I work incredibly hard to try and make sure if you do type that phrase into Google, I appear twice as often as any other speaker in the world. And if you type that phrase into YouTube, there's probably 50% more of my videos than anyone else's. This is not about spending money, it's more about focus in everything you do out there in cyberspace. So you've got to own your Google page. Interestingly, a couple of years ago now, I was booked by a large Saudi corporation to speak at their annual conference in Cairo in Egypt. And I'd never heard of them before, but when I got there, I had a word with the guy who'd booked me and I said, so why me? And he said, we knew exactly the topic we wanted to be the theme of this conference. And when I typed that in, you appeared more often than anybody else, so who else would I contact? So you've got to own your Google page. Having looked at Google, that will take them to your website inevitably. And as I said earlier, I think your website is order of magnitude more important than it used to be. You've got to think about who might buy you, number one. That's who we're talking about here. It might be a meeting planner who has got just a few seconds to decide between you and somebody else. So you've got to have something compelling. You must have A video, full frontal, no introduction, no nonsense at the start, go straight in where they can see you performing, they can see your audience reacting, they can see something about you and your topic and how compelling you are. Your website has got to be something which is sticky and keeps them looking and wants them to look at more of what you do and find out more about you. After that, they will go up into cyberspace and have a look at you. They'll look at you on LinkedIn. They'll look at you maybe on Facebook. They'll look at you on YouTube. They may look at you on Pinterest or Instagram. It all depends. Different countries have different focuses. Different industries have different focuses. But again, a story, if I may, a very good colleague of mine in the Professional Speaking Association here in the UK, Matt Crabtree, he specialises in working with the large banks around the world, and he has quite a substantial training company. And he was telling me that he recently got a large contract from one of those banks. And when he met the woman who had booked him, he said, "So why us?" And she said, "Well, that's a very good question, because I really couldn't decide between you and another company." She said, "What I did was I then had a look at your personal LinkedIn profile. I looked at the LinkedIn profile of the chief executive of the other training company. You had more recommendations. That's why you got the work." All these things are vitally important today. So, I think that's the 85% point that Microsoft have been talking about. What do they do next? Well, they've just got some clarification points maybe. They want to ask you some questions. They're going to click on that Contact Us button, maybe on your website. And by the way, my statistics are that an awful lot of companies, organizations, and people never respond to that Contact Us button. Please make sure you do. And you need to set metrics. If you are working around the world, you, to some extent, have got to be working on a 24-hour clock and make sure that they get a response from you very quickly. It might be a response that says, "Sorry, it's our night at the moment, but I will contact you at this time the next day," in their language, in their time zone. So, once you've done all those things and you've done it very quickly, I know a number of speakers, I hate to tell you, who actually take some time to respond to those inquiries. You've got your booking. So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. 3 things you need to be an international professional speaker. You need a keynote speech, you need a speaker's bag with all life support systems in it, and you've got to have that presence out there in cyberspace, on the internet. Absolutely perfect. But a question for you before I finish. Why? Why do you want to speak internationally? You're going to spend a lot of time in airports. You're going to spend a lot of time in aeroplanes and international hotels that are all the same everywhere in the world. You're going to have all kinds of hassle. And you're not going to earn as much, are you? Because no matter where you go, you're going to be away for 3 days. You'll only get paid for the one booking, but actually you're away from the office, you're away from speaking at home for 3 days. Is that what you want to do? Why do you want to do it? Well, I'll give you my reason. It enhances me, it enhances my business. I love getting into the business culture of other countries. I love getting feedback and feeding that back in when I speak in other places. It's done all kinds of things for me, and it's an essential part of what I do as a professional speaker. So, ladies and gentlemen, I look forward to sharing a stage with every single one of you who wish to be an international speaker at some exotic location somewhere in the world, and for us both to be paid silly money to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Wow, what a content that was. Oh, we'll go right on to the next one, and that's Mr. Jonathan Lowe. He's a global speaker and a leadership success coach. Jonathan lives with his family in the beautiful city of Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. Jonathan Lowe is a CSP, PCC and an MBA. And he centers the conference speaking and executive coaching work with organizations and senior executives to measurable improve their leadership effectiveness and business performance, especially in the areas of service quality, sales performance, leadership, communication, and team development. He believes that increased self-awareness accelerates professional relations and business success. Jonathan brings 28 years of professional and global hospitality experience, having traveled extensively to more than 45 countries and 168 cities in Europe, United States, Asia Pacific, and the Middle East. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, your attention for Mr. Jonathan Lowe.
Hello everyone, my name is Jonathan Lowe, the president of the Virtual Speaker Association International. Together with our leadership team, we would like to congratulate the PSA Afghanistan for this online conference that you're conducting right now. It takes a lot of effort, but I'm glad that there's a group of committed professional speakers that are coming together to support this initiative. So well done to Tariq Mohammadi and to your team that has put this conference together. Now, the Virtual Speaker Association International, what is that? You know, as the former president at the Global Speakers Federation, it is always our goal to reach out to as many countries as possible that strive to have a professional speaker association in their home country. Now, we do realize that there are individual members that may not have enough people. They may not have the numbers necessary to form a vibrant speaker community. And that is how the Speaker Association, Virtual Speaker Association came about. So together with the wisdom and past president of many of the member association globally that we currently have. We have Lindsay, we have Mike, we have Mia, we have Ter Wal, we have Ian, we have Marina. And they are all from different member association previously or currently. Lindsay is from Australia, with Mike, who is originally a past president in New Zealand, currently residing in South Africa. We have Mia from Sweden, past president. We have Ter Wal from Holland. We have Ian, who is now heading the efforts in Spain. And we also have Marina, who is spearheading the efforts in Israel. So this is what the Virtual Speaker Association is all about. We are there to extend our support, our help to professional speakers or individuals who are committed to embrace the art of professional speaking. If you have got a message to share around the world and you would like to make it as a profession for yourself, this is an opportunity to belong to a vibrant association that's going to support you in your journey. Well, currently the Virtual Speaker Association has 3 categories of opportunity that you can become part of. You can either become a subscriber, but our goal is for you to become a member of the association. Now, if professional speaking is something that you're currently doing, we'd like to invite you to even become a professional member of VSAI. Because once you have that recognition within your speaking community, within the country that you're operating from, it will elevate you to the next level of competency and expertise. And that is what we like to support. Now, the other main goal of the Virtual Speaker Association is also to support associations that are kind of like ramping up, right? They want to become a member of the Global Speakers Federation, and we have set aside development opportunity. And that's what's happening with the PSA in Spain and also PSA in Israel, right? So together with the efforts, we're working together for them to also have the leadership opportunity to learn what it takes to start up a new association. So if that is part of your goal, if that is part of your journey, I would like to invite you to be a member of the Virtual Speaker Association International. And if you or a collective number of your leaders would like to say, hey, we're thinking about setting up a member association, professional speakers member association, and we'd like to have some guidance, do reach out to us, right? As you can see, the website address here. So send us a message, reach out to us. We'd like to welcome you. Currently, we have ongoing learning tracks to help members achieve their areas of expertise in the area of speaking, in the area of building a business. So a lot of resources are available to you. But more importantly, it is the community that we are bringing together, community of professional speakers, especially in this area, in this time that many have actually gone online. So there's opportunity for you to also learn some expertise, competency on how you can be effective in managing that possibility. So we're very excited to have this privilege to serve together with my leadership team, a more global, diverse community out there. Reach out to us. And as a professional speaker myself, haven't been doing this for the last 16 years right now, right? So I hail from the hospitality background. And hospitality, although it is facing one of the most challenging times in the industry, but we still have the mindset of service. And that is my recommendation to you. That is, have a growth mindset, have a service mindset. Whatever you do, begin to say, what can I do to serve? What can I do to add value to my colleague, to the people that I'm speaking to? Because once you approach it with a service mindset, the opportunity for you to even reach out to a greater community will arise. Because it takes a spirit of service to begin to help. In the world of speaking, it's always a world of abundance. We are not competitors. We are merely adding value to the growing pie that is large enough for everyone. So let's begin to collaborate. Let's begin to support one another. Let's begin to add value. And it is this community of professional speakers, like-minded, positive team people that you can begin to leverage to. Learn from them. Exchange conversation. Who knows? There could be even collaboration in terms of business. I live in Kuala Lumpur and in Malaysia. And when I became a professional speaker, one of the mindset that I had was, not only will I do business in Malaysia, I would like to be a global influencer, a global speaker. And I've been privileged to do that in about 5 different continents, 30 plus countries. And later on, you'll also be hearing from fantastic speakers like Frederick Haren, a lot of my peers, a lot of my friends, Ter Wal, immediate past president of the Global Speakers Federation. Mia is going to be one of the speakers here too. So again, we are here to serve, we are here to add value. And if there is something that you feel that you can contribute, we'd like to welcome you to the Virtual Speaker Association. Be part of an organization, be part of the community. And it's going to help you in your journey. That is going to help you to even move on to the next level. Who knows? In 6 months' time, in 12 months' time, where will you be? But it starts with you having an intention. It starts with you having a goal of what you would like to do. You may say, hey, I may not have the requirements or competence needed to do it. But let me assure you, the friends that you will meet along this journey, in my 16 years, having joined the Speaker Association, having been part of this vibrant community, has helped me grow myself as a person, as a speaker, and more importantly, as a human being. Because that is what we need right now. We need to be out in the world to share, to develop trust, to develop compassion, to inspire the people who are going through challenging times, to build mental toughness in each one of them, So your role as a speaker is really crucial. I once again thank Tariq and the teams for inviting the Virtual Speaker Association International to be part of this conference. Reach out to any one of us, any one of the leaders that you see, to myself, to them. So I'm here to be of service to you. Have a fantastic conference. I look forward to having more conversation with you in the days to come. Reach out to me in LinkedIn. I'm pretty active there. So if there's any areas we can add value to you and your journey, I want to make sure that I'm part of that. Thank you once again. Congratulations to PSA Afghanistan for this awesome conference. And I wish all of you be safe, be well, take good care of yourself, your family, and everyone that you are working with. Best wishes.
Wow. Thank you very much to all the speakers, but especially for all the people who watched this first Afghanistan virtual convention. If you want to know more, please look up their website. It's the PSAafghanistan.com, and all the speakers and all the information is over there. For me, it was a great honor to be the host of this first convention. Of course, I'd rather be now, I would love to be now in Afghanistan, live on stage, with all the other speakers like Ter Wal, Mia, Jonathan, Frederick. But now we have to deal with this situation. And that's also, I like it that we even managed, myself and Tariq and all the other speakers, to do this for you as a virtual convention. And that is possible. You've seen the content, and we've hoped that we've inspired you. So hook up with the PSA Afghanistan, and you absolutely will be sure that there's a great future for you as a speaker, a virtual speaker, or you will be inspired to be a better person. This was it for me. I thank you very much for watching, and I wish you the best. My name is Tom Lightning. Till next time.